I was 24 years old when I had my first panic attack. I was on vacation with a group of friends and everything was going great until all of a sudden it wasn't. I got this impending sense of doom and I felt like my chest had this humongous pressure on it and it got hard to breathe and my heart was racing and I had no idea what was going on. I thought I was having a heart attack. 2 days later, I suffered from a much worse and much more serious version of a panic attack. And unfortunately, it just was one of those situations where the harder I tried to fight it, the worse it seemed to get. But as horrible as those experiences were, they really launched me into this journey of really trying to understand what exactly anxiety is and how to best deal with it. And those experiences and lessons learned have really gotten me to this place where I can say, I haven't had a panic attack in a long time. And I haven't really had to deal with anxiety much at all. But it took me a lot of work to get here. If you're someone that struggles with anxiety or panic attacks, then there's a long road ahead of you. And while I can't do the work for you, what I can do is help you get back to a place of happiness and health faster. And remember that no matter how much work it takes, it's always going to be easier than spending the rest of your life in discomfort and anxiety. If you don't know who I am, my name is Tashawn Fernando, and I've spent the last 13 years studying how to live a better life. And now, as a teenage life coach and high school teacher, I am on a mission to help you, the next generation, live happier, healthier, and more successful lives. So, if you're feeling anxious or just interested in the human condition, join me as we go on a journey through the 3 facets of anxiety and how to deal with them. Part of understanding anxiety is understanding that our brains are actually these state-of-the-art self-defense systems that have evolved over thousands of years to identify and eliminate threats. But part of living in a modern society is that we're not facing the same sort of threats that we used to have to face. We're no longer worried so much about getting eaten and hunted down by predators as we are about paying our bills and fitting in and trying to find something meaningful to do with our lives. So our brains, in a desperate attempt to try to feel more secure, tries to control every single variable about every possible scenario that could potentially stress you out. But because the brain can't control the future, we just end up feeling more out of control than in it. You see, anxiety stems from trying to control that which you cannot control. Because when you try to control something that you can't actually control, you're left with a feeling of powerlessness. And that powerlessness eventually leads to hopelessness, and that hopelessness is what seals our fate in the end. So to deal with this problem, we have to approach it from 2 different sides. On one hand, we have to find a way to increase our sense of control over the things that we can actually control. And on the other hand, we have to find a way to release our sense of control over the things that we can't actually control. So you might be wondering, Tashawn, how do I increase the sense of control in my life? I would love to know. Please tell me, I'm a control freak. I'm so glad that you asked. And you're probably not going to like what I have to say. One of my favorite ways for increasing the sense of control that I have in my own life is by practicing something called taking 100% responsibility. And you may have heard of this phrase before. It goes by plenty of different names. Some people call it radical responsibility. Jocko Willink calls it extreme ownership. And psychologists call it having an internal locus of control. But no matter what you call it, it's always about the same thing. It's about taking the blame in your life. The blame that you put on the government, or on the economy, or on your friends and family, or on your zip code, or on your school system, or whatever. And placing that blame squarely back on your own shoulders. And this isn't about shame. This isn't about making people feel bad. This is about taking back the power. Because when you blame this person or that thing for the results that you have in your own life, you give this person or that thing all of the power. This person, they're incompetent, or that person, they have it out for me, or the system, it's broken. And you know what? You may be right. This system might be broken. This person might actually be incompetent, and that person might actually have it out for you. But so what? Are you really going to let that be the reason why you don't get to live the life that you deserve to live? Stop blaming your circumstances. Stop blaming the people in your life. Stop blaming where you live. Stop blaming the government. Blame yourself. It's a heavy burden to bear, but it's a burden worth bearing because it puts the power back in your own hands. And on the other hand, when it comes to letting go of control of the things that you don't actually have control over, which is pretty much everything except your own feelings, your own thoughts, and your own actions, you have to learn to replace the fear of uncertainty with the joy of curiosity. As a society and as a species, we've kind of been conditioned to view uncertainty with fear. And that's because it serves the self-defense mechanism of our brain to look at uncertainty that way. But uncertainty isn't actually inherently negative or positive. It's just neutral, right? We could take uncertainty about the future and we could ask two different people about it, and they could have two totally different opinions. One person, they might be optimistic about it, right? Oh, I don't really know what's going to happen, but it could go either way, and I'm kind of excited to find out. And the other person, they might be totally pessimistic about it. I don't know what's going to happen. It's kind of freaking me out, but I think everything is going to go wrong. And it seems like it could go either way. And because neither person can tell the future, is more right or more wrong than the other. They're really both just guessing. One is choosing to look at it optimistically, and one is choosing to look at it pessimistically, because that's really all it is. It's a choice, and it's totally arbitrary. So you might as well just choose to look at uncertainty with optimism, because if you choose to look at uncertainty with optimism and you're right, then no problem. But if you choose to look at uncertainty with optimism and you're wrong, then you'll just deal with it in the future. But there's no reason to poison the present with the fears of the future. I'm willing to bet you've spent plenty of time mentally rehearsing in your mind all of the things that could go wrong in your life. So why haven't you spent nearly as much time rehearsing all of the things that could go right? I think it's a question worth asking. To be human is to be a part of an incredible journey that's full of insane heights and terrifying lows. And the thrill and the joy of a height is just as important as the pain and the desolation of a low. And I bring this up because there's something really, really, really important I need you to understand about anxiety, or really any negative emotion, which is that there's nothing wrong with you for feeling. Because that part of you that feels pain so deeply, that feels stress and anxiety and depression and just wants to give up sometimes, is the same part of you that feels love deeply, that is capable of finding the joy in the smallest things in life and generating the greatest of courage. And to deny that, to try to resist or pretend like your emotions don't exist, is only ever going to make them stronger. So you have to feel your feelings. You should feel your feelings. If anything, I would argue it's your responsibility to feel your feelings. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you always have to believe them. I'll be the first to admit that my emotions have steered me wrong more times than I can possibly describe in a single video. But that doesn't make them any less valuable. Just like a team leader has to make decisions based off of more than just one team member's opinion, you have to lead in your own life and make decisions based off of more than just your emotions. And while there's nothing wrong with basing decisions solely off of emotion, your life is going to end up looking like this. It's going to be one heck of a roller coaster ride, and you're going to find yourself craving peace and stability at the end of the day. But the better you're able to integrate logic and other people's feelings and the realities of life in context into your decision-making process, the better and more peaceful and more stable your life is going to feel. So what does this look like? I want you to imagine a rock. And this rock is in a stream. And sometimes that stream's flow is fast, sometimes it's slow. Sometimes the stream's height is high, sometimes it's low. But the rock doesn't care, because the rock is just there, and the water just flows around it. And the next time you feel your emotions welling up, I want you to be like that rock. Steady, strong, and reliable. Don't try to fight your emotions, but don't let them drag you along either. Just be there and let the emotions flow through you and around you, like water around a rock in a stream. After my panic attacks in Mexico City, my relationship with anxiety changed quite a bit. I have always been anxious, but I realized that my panic attacks were directly as a result of my mismanagement of my own anxiety. So now, depending on whether I'm with other people or alone, when anxiety pops up, I'll say in my head or out loud, "Welcome back, old friend. I was wondering when you were going to stop by." I've stopped treating my anxiety like a trespasser on my property and more like a messenger with something important to say. Because, like it or not, anxiety is a part of our self-warning system. And it's there to warn us that something is off, something is out of alignment and needs fixing. And I've come to realize that anxiety isn't so much a bug of the human condition as it is a feature. And to be clear, just because my relationship with anxiety has shifted doesn't mean that it feels any less bad to be anxious. Being anxious is just as uncomfortable as it has always been. And I think part of that is necessary because it wouldn't make for a very good self-warning system if it felt good. But I found that as I've resisted my anxiety less and less, my life has only gotten better and better. Hey, if this is hitting home for you right now, do me a favor and like the video or hit subscribe. I make episodes like this every week to help people who are working through real stuff just like you. Now, anxiety may start in the mind, but it lives in the body. And we know this because we know what anxiety feels like. We've all felt the pressure on our chests, the discomfort in our stomachs, the racing heart, the racing thoughts. It's an uncomfortable experience, to say the least. But there's actually a saving grace to this whole thing because the mind-body connection is not just a one-way street. Yes, our mental state affects our physical body, but so too our physical body can affect our mental state. Meaning that if we can find a way to calm our physical bodies down, we can send a message to our brain letting it know that everything is okay. And oftentimes when we can do this successfully, the brain will either completely shut down or at least decrease the anxiety signals that it's sending to our nervous system. Now, I'm not a medical professional, so I'm going to share with you the things that have worked for me in the past. And there are 3 practices in particular that have been highly effective in my fight against anxiety. First and foremost is something called box breathing. And it's really simple. All you got to do is breathe in for 4 seconds. Hold for 4 seconds. Breathe out for 4 seconds. And hold for 4 seconds. And it's a deceptively simple technique, but when you repeat the cycle over and over and over again over the course of a few minutes, it over time forces your breathing to slow down quite a bit. And when your breathing is slow, that tells your brain that everything is okay. Everything is calm. And I know it might seem a little silly to try and beat back your anxiety with something as simple as breathing, but it's actually a technique that therapists use, athletes use, and even the Navy SEALs use. And I can personally attest to its effectiveness in my life. The second thing that I really love to do is meditation. Now, if meditation is something that you're unfamiliar with or that you're kind of interested in, I'm going to leave other people's videos to explain that to you because there are thousands of videos out there already on meditation, and most of them are actually really high quality. But I will put a few links in the description for you if you're curious. And the last thing that I would say has actually worked the best for me is going on walks. There's just something about moving my physical body and getting away from the physical space that I'm in that really gives me the mental and emotional space to really think through and feel my feelings. In one way or another, I always end up feeling better at the end of my walks. So do a little bit of research, do a little bit of experimentation, and see what works for you. But once you've found something that works for you, don't just stop there. I really want to challenge you to go past that. Because as good as it is to have some tools in your toolbox to fall back on when the anxiety is really hitting, it's even better to be proactive and make those tools a daily or at least weekly practice so that the anxiety never hits in the first place. Everybody gets anxious. It's not an emotion that's unique to you or unique to me. It's an emotion that's innate to every human being. And I bring that up because out of everything that we've talked about today, the most powerful strategy of all is sharing your emotions. Because it's not the anxiety that's destroying people. It's the belief that we are the only ones that are feeling it. We suffer in silence and we compare our insides to everyone else's highlight reel. And we tell ourselves that we are the broken ones. But the truth is, all of those people around you, they're anxious too. They just got better at hiding it. We have got to stop treating anxiety like it's a dirty secret, because the longer that we stay silent, the louder that it gets. So please, find a friend, find a family member, and share what you've been going through. Take the feelings in your heart and the thoughts in your mind and share them with the world through your mouth. And if you think that they won't be receptive to that kind of thing, I urge you to be courageous, because you may just be surprised at what you find out. Hey guys, Tashawn here. If you stuck around this long, seriously, thank you so much. It means a lot. If you got some value out of this video, or you could think of someone who might need to hear the message themselves, please send it their way. Like, subscribe, all of that, but most importantly, keep taking care of yourself. I'll see you guys next week.